Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into the deep biological roots of storytelling. We're going to look at exactly how fables, folklore, and fairy tales act as this incredible mirror, constantly shaping human culture across the centuries. If you think you're just enjoying a good book or movie purely for entertainment, well, you're about to discover the biological survival engine that's literally running in your brain right now.
I really want to hook you right out of the gate with this amazing quote from Lisa Crown. She says, "Story, it turns out, was crucial to our evolution. Story told us what to hang on to." In the core essay for this topic, Dr. Susan Edwards makes this fascinating argument that human beings are biologically wired for narrative. It's not just a fun pastime, right? Identifying with characters actually helps us build empathy, it makes us feel less lonely, and ultimately, it helps us survive. We are, at our core, the storytelling animal.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with our storytelling evolution, move into fables, morals in disguise, then folklore, shaping our traditions, followed by fairy tales, magic and reflection, and finally we'll wrap up with rewriting the classics.
Starting off with Section 1, our storytelling evolution. Before we can really analyze specific genres, we need to understand the mechanics. What is it that universally hooks our brains into a great narrative? The science of attention here is just fascinating. Great stories literally stimulate dopamine in our brains, which absolutely enhances our ability to learn and stay motivated. To see how this works in practice, we can look at Pixar's proven framework for captivating an audience. Their 6 rules dictate that a story has to be universal, it needs a clear structure and purpose, and it has to feature a character, usually an underdog, for us to root for. It also needs to appeal to our deepest emotions, bring something totally unexpected, and somehow still remain simple and focused. This is the mechanical engine behind why we just can't look away from a good story. Let's move to Section 2, Fables. We're going to see how those mechanics build into morals in disguise, usually by using animal characters to convey these massive, universal truths.
So a fable is a very specific type of narrative. It uses animals, maybe mythical creatures, or even natural phenomena, and gives them human qualities. The whole point is to highlight our own human weaknesses or strengths to convey a moral lesson. Have you ever stopped to wonder why we use talking animals to teach kids life lessons? Often referred to across different cultures as cuentos or consejos, these stories basically act as a safe, slightly distanced mirror for our own flaws and virtues.
And what's really cool is that fables aren't just these dead historical artifacts. I mean, sure, in the ancient era, Aesop pioneered the genre, but fast forward to 1945, and George Orwell publishes Animal Farm, literally using farm animals to reflect the incredibly complex, very real political landscape of Stalinist Russia. And then jumping to 2021, Disney's Encanto operates as a modern fable teaching the lesson of personal worth. Across totally different eras, this format consistently delivers really valuable life lessons.
All right, Section 3 is folklore. Here we're shifting our focus to how oral histories and cultural identities shape our actual traditions.
Folklore began purely as oral history. Think about it. Before the written word, this was literally the primary way ancient communities preserved their identities and taught their kids how the world worked. It was absolutely crucial. Over time, these tales were finally written down, which is awesome because it allowed them to be shared globally and fostered a much greater cultural understanding between different societies.
Now, the crucial takeaway here is that folklore continuously adapts to whatever the medium of the day is. On one hand, you have ancient cultural myths like Greek or Hindu legends being infused into modern video games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider. But on the flip side, we have entirely modern, internet-born folklore. Think of the dark creepypasta character Slender Man, or even the shape-shifting boggarts in Harry Potter. The negative real-world events that have sometimes surrounded characters like Slender Man just prove that folklore, whether it's ancient or born on a web forum, has a profound and very tangible impact on our society.
Moving into Section 4, Fairy Tales. This is where we explore magic and reflection, entering these fantastical realms where hope and happy endings take center stage.
A fairy tale features recognizable elements of magic, fantasy, and that enduring hope for a happy ending, all passed down through the generations. For instance, the ancient myth of Cupid and Psyche is a direct precursor to the Beauty and the Beast story we know today. But as the Theme 8 essay points out, it's really important to note that these stories often contain incredibly dark elements. I mean, think about the original Red Riding Hood. The wolf straight up eats Red and her grandmother, and he lives happily ever after. If you're rooting for the wolf, I suppose that's a happy ending, but it certainly proves these aren't just simple innocent children's stories.
And this brilliantly illustrates how deeply ingrained these specific narratives are all over the globe. Just look at Cinderella. The core structure appears in countless cultures, adapting perfectly to reflect local traditions. Egypt has Rhodopis, Germany tells the story of Ashenpatel, Mexico has Adelita, and the Caribbean shares Cendrillon. It just proves that the universal human narrative of the underdog, which we talked about back with the Pixar rules, adapts seamlessly to reflect local cultures everywhere.
Finally, Section 5. Rewriting the classics. What happens when traditional mirrors no longer reflect the society looking into them? We're going to see how living cultures adapt ancient tales.
We inevitably see controversies pop up as modern societies try to update these tales. The source materials highlight a few really distinct examples of this tension. First, looking at the 2023 live-action adaptation of The Little Mermaid, casting a black actress sparked a racist backlash, even as the diverse casting of Ariel's sisters was intended to represent the varied colors of life. In another example, debates hosted by the British Broadcasting Corporation featured articles suggesting that classic fairy tales actually require a fundamental rewrite to address outdated gender stereotyping and questionable morals. Objectively, these examples demonstrate a fascinating dynamic. Living communities continually clash with and attempt to mold traditional stories so they actually fit with modern values.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative thought to end our explainer on today. At what stage do we stop rewriting? If we change the stories, do they still hold that same fundamental power? Do the stories shape us, or are we the ones shaping the stories? The next time you watch a movie, read a book, or even hear a piece of internet lore, ask yourself exactly what cultural mirror you're looking into. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the narrative.